Ocean Reach Brewing started as a small brew pub 2 years ago. Quickly outgrew the space and had a demand for packaged beer, and now we're a full production facility here in Cowes, Phillip Island. Being our second brewery build, we looked at it at a different angle, and we wanted to use a supplier that has built many breweries across Australia, but more from a control and electronic aspect. And speaking with other breweries in the area, Decam came up a lot.
Well, Ocean Reach is similar to a lot of craft brewers in the initial startup was done really with a large home brew kit. Then once they developed their market, they've moved into a larger production facility. And like so many Australian craft brewers, they've decided to buy a stainless brew kit with associated tanks from overseas. But they were concerned about their exposure to risk as far as the control systems and who they would call if they ran into issues with any of the automation. So we were able to offer a Fermecraft system that would be bolted on to a brew kit supplied in from overseas. So we're finding a lot of that now within the Australian and New Zealand market. So Fermecraft is wonderfully adaptable, and really we can put it on a number of brew kits.
We sourced our brewing equipment from China, but we wanted to use a reliable source for our electronic and control components. The main reason we moved forward with Decam was the future-proofing our brew house. We've spoken to many breweries in the area, and the biggest trouble or problem they face is adding more fermenters and expanding, as all breweries do. It became very costly, and the great thing about Decam's product is it's modular and you can continue to expand at a low cost with an initial upfront cost, but if you've got success in mind, future-proofing your brewery is a no-brainer.
As per the Fermecraft methodology, it's designed for craft breweries to enable them to keep growing without major changes to their hardware or their infrastructure. So as that brewery down there in Phillip Island starts to add more and more tanks, more pumps, different processes, they can be added seamlessly into the Fermecraft. They can be adapted to the touchscreen, and they don't need to reinvent the wheel every time they add more equipment. What craft breweries understand is that their exposure to risk with downtime on machinery is huge. So what we learned very quickly in craft brewing is that beer can be in tanks, we can have a failure on a chiller or a glycol line, and all of a sudden we can be destroying the beer that's taken a lot of energy to produce. So we have a commitment to our craft breweries that we understand those risks, and we bring to the table a protection for them where we don't mind what time of the day or week they need us. We offer fantastic support for them. There's the full remote access, there's alarming which comes out of Fermecraft. So not only can we respond if they need us, but they also know the minute something goes wrong at that brewery, and they can be, all around the world and still get those alarms. So we had a case recently, Phillip Island was exposed to some pretty average power. They had a thunderstorm go through, the entire brewery was shut down, and as soon as that happened, they received the notification, they were able to respond, and we were also able to assist them to get them back online and get them producing. Now, if that was another brew kit without the sophistication of Fermecraft, they'd have no idea until they turned up the next morning to find that their chiller, in fact, had turned off and that all of their brewery was down.
The ability that I can log in remotely, I can also set up all my fermentation profiles in a number of steps, and it can all be automated. So I don't need someone here every single day checking what's happening. So I guess the cost there is employing people. On top of that though, scalability for future proofing is where I'm going to save my money. So when I add a few more tanks, I literally have to get one cable and plug it into their network, and I'm good to go. With any brewery installation, there's always going to be issues and problems. The great thing about Decam though is the ownership and the accountability, and they get down and get the job done and help you find a solution together. Decam's contractors and installations are top-notch, best of the best.
Remote access is not new, particularly in automation, but what we're starting to understand is that unique exposure of risk to some of these craft breweries with remote access. So what I say to a number of users is, do they know who has access to their machinery? How can they guarantee that someone in a far-flung country is not actually watching what they're doing as far as their brew process is concerned, and in fact adjusting it remotely. Fermecraft uses a remote server system that is set up by Siemens. It's monitored by DCAM, and we can guarantee that whoever is logging on to those Fermecraft systems has gone through a rigorous firewall system. The Siemens remote access, we can say, is probably the most secure in the world. We can also say that Fermecraft in Australia is the first user of this system. We're working hand in hand with Siemens to deliver it to our Fermecraft customers, and we can say once completed that it offers the most secure remote access of any automation system anywhere in the world.
The system is very user-friendly, intuitive, so it's not hard to really operate, even for people that aren't really tech-savvy. Well, the part of Fermecraft is support. When something falls over, I've got someone to call. So they've done that many times already, where I've been stuck, and I've been able to call them, and they've been down here sometimes at midnight.
Some of our customers are surprised to learn that the automation systems used by Fermecraft are in fact world-leading. We consider ourselves innovators, and we think it's not uncommon to find Australians really pushing the boundaries for multiple industries, and particularly with this one in the automation of craft brewing. Fermecraft is a world leader. We have it installed in breweries where it is next to off-the-shelf systems out of Europe, and we can say confidently that the systems we are using are in some cases 10 years more advanced than what is coming out of Europe. So what we're using as part of the Fermecraft hardware is the latest.
By the time we finished our project with DCAM, we've already started talking about adding new fermenters because the demand for our product was a lot more than we thought. We were super excited about that. It enables us to also continue working with DCAM and just future-proof our success. The fact that you can control each step, you can focus on repeatability, and that's sometimes what a lot of small craft breweries struggle with, because we're not using some of the $500,000 breweries around the world that are out there. So being able to just hone in on your craft and letting technology do all the work for you definitely helps you be consistent with your beers. The DCAM's Fermecraft control our brew house or our brew deck, and also our fermentation tanks and bright beer tanks or serving tanks. That means we can control the process from the day we brew up until the day we package. At the moment we can do 6,000 litres every 3 weeks, but the greatest thing is that I can add any tank anytime, and with Fermecraft I can just literally plug and play. We've literally just started this production brewery in September, which means we've only just started canning and we've only just started reaching out to the market. So outside of Phillip Island, there's a couple of places in Melbourne at the moment and other bottle shops. So we're just starting to delve in that space, which is pretty exciting.